Hey there, this is Neil Napier here. Welcome to today's workshop. Just give me a very quick yes if you can hear me all right in the chat box. Let me know if I'm coming through fine, and we will get started in just a couple of minutes. Mandy, Lewis as well. Lewis is here. Mandy, good to see you. And Richard's here too. Dominic. And we've got a few more people coming in still. That's good. Now, today's session is all about being an author, right? So for me, my goal in 2019, not this year because I've got a lot of other things to do this year, my goal in 2019 is to publish a couple of books. I'm not quite sure I'm going to market them. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them or what they're going to be about, but my goal is to publish a couple of books in the next year. And I'm going to show you how not just me, but a lot of other people, including the likes of Russell Brunson, publish books. How do they create all that content, and how they leverage their membership sites to create these books, and vice versa as well. So since I'm coming through fine, hey Ned, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right in, and I'll just open this up as well so I can show you a few things in design. And I'll walk you through how to position yourself as an expert in whatever it is that you're doing, right? So as you know me, and recently we started this movement called My First Thousand. You can search for it on Facebook. You can find more about it. But with My First Thousand, what I'm doing right now is establishing myself as a credible expert in the field of creating and selling courses. Courses or membership sites, whatever you want to call them, that's going to be my core focus. I'm going to be working with people to show them how to create and sell membership sites. Now, that's just one of the things that I'm focusing on right now. And it's okay for me to create and sell, a bit meta, but training about how to create a membership site, how to create courses. So I can sell people training, or I can give away free training around these topics, and that's perfect, that's great. But creating a book is as simple as restructuring the information that's within here into a book. And I'm actually going to use example of Russell Brunson. So Russell's written two books that are very well known, .com Secrets and Expert Secrets. And yeah, even though in terms of the software space, they think we compete, but the kind of work that he has done with that books is really impeccable. And let me show you how he structures it. And again, this is all based on what I've seen. It might not be factually correct, but it's based on what I've understood to be the case with what he does. So as you know, Russell's got two books. One of them is .com Secrets, and the other one is Expert Secrets. And each of them, if you want to buy it from his funnel, you just have to pay for the shipping basically. So each of these, if you want to buy it, will cost you about, let's say, $10 each, I think, because it's free plus shipping, right? So $10 is all you pay for those books. But then eventually Russell has a course that you might see in the funnel. And that course is, I think last I checked, it was called Funnel Hacking something or Funnel Mastermind. So I'm just going to put Funnel Mastermind here. And this is something that he would sell for $997, so about $1,000, right? And right now he has his, what is also known as his inner circle, which is his highest level coaching. And he's raised the prices on that. And the price on that right now is 50K. It used to be 20K, 25K rather, before. So here's a funny thing. I interviewed someone once who was a regular member for 2 years in Russell's inner circle group. And I asked him, is this worth joining? Like, did you get a lot of value from joining it? He said, well, the only value that you get in that case is the crowd that you hang around. I mean, that's a crowd that can afford to pay 25, 50K. That's the only value, because everything you find that Russell teaches in Inner Circle is already covered in his Funnel Mastermind course. And everything he teaches in Funnel Mastermind course is already covered in these two books, especially this one book. So essentially, the same knowledge that he dissipates at 25, 50K, you can read about that in his book. Now, I'm bringing up this example because I don't know if give me a quick one here if you've seen Good Will Hunting. Have you seen Good Will Hunting? Let me know. It's a really cool film with Matt Damon and Ben Affleck and a few other people. And there's a scene in that movie where, you know, Ben Affleck is getting ripped into by this, I think it's Harvard or MIT, Harvard maybe, student who's saying that, you know, yeah, my daddy's so cool, like I've got all this money and I go to Harvard, so I'm really awesome, and you're not. So Matt Damon goes to him and he does this whole monologue for like a minute and a half. And the entire monologue is, you know, one of the pieces that really stands out is that whatever it is that you're paying like 15, 20 grand a year in college education fee. I can get the same thing from late fees at the local library for $1.75. The same education. And that's the point. The big difference between going to, let's say, the university, I mean, other than all the social aspects, of course, the big difference between going to university and reading a book at home is the social aspect, is the fact that you get to hang around with other students, that you get to be in a social environment where you grow as a human being. But the education, the core education is still the same. If you were a self-learner, you could get this $10 book and you could absorb everything he has to say about how to be an expert, how to monetize your expertise. If you are the kind of person who likes to watch like 10 hours of videos, you could pay for that course and you could, in $1,000, learn the same thing. If you're the kind of person who has a lot of money, you could pay 25, 50K a year and go to this inner circle every year and, you know, rub shoulders with the big wigs, people who can afford to pay 25, 50K, but you will learn the same thing. Now, I'm not trying to take anything away from Russell here, but what I am trying to say is that everything that you know at the end of the day that you can teach and that people will find valuable can be condensed into a few strong concepts. And then your job is to just expand on these concepts time and time again. So let's say I'm not even going to go to 50K, right? I'm going to delete all of this. So I'm going to start from scratch. I'm going to use my example here because we don't sell anything at 50K at the moment. What we do sell, the highest price point right now is at 10K, right? So 10K is our highest price point, and then our second lowest price point there for the same thing is 2K, and then our lowest price point is $100 because we don't have any book or anything in there. So let me explain how this works, and eventually I could have a book. So I'm just going to put, you know, $10 here because let's choose a different color. I think I can or not. Okay, there. Let me just remove this. Okay, so this is the missing piece for us, for example, and for you as well, which is why I'll write this down here that you can think about having this in your business as well. So for me, if I'm teaching people about how to build a membership site, let's say if I'm releasing a course, a paid course, which is $99, you know, it's going to be about 2 hours worth of value, right? So it's 2 hours worth of course that people can watch and go through at their own pace. I'll give them templates, I'll give them checklists and whatnot, and that will help them build their own course. Fine. But if I wanted to, after that, offer something more valuable to people, I could say, hey, you've got everything that you need to kind of do this yourself. But what if I run a 3-month coaching program where you can ask me all sorts of questions? I'm going to be available for whenever you need me. And plus, when you build your course, I'm going to set up like first set of ads for you, right? So I'm going to set up ads, we'll run it together, we'll make sure it's converting and it's getting you sales. So all that is $2,000 and you get like a 3-month package, right? So it's the same thing that I taught here, but I'll teach the same thing here. It's the same concept. I'll do live trainings. Whenever someone asks me questions, I'll answer the same thing that I did in the $100 course. But once they're successful, once they're at that stage, I could be like, great, well, you're successful. Now let me help you scale it up. So for $10,000, what I'm going to do is I'm going to advance you even further. I'm going to take each and every module, like I'm going to take your course that you're selling, I'm going to take your ads, your sales page, and I'm going to help you dissect each and every part. Is your course structure right? Is your sales page right? Is your say something like, are your ads working, right? So I'm going to help you dissect each and every part of your business, which again, remember, I've already talked about here. But what they get here in this case is maybe I bring them to one location once a year. And I say, we do like a online workshop 4 times a year, but once a year we do a face-to-face workshop in Bali or something, right? So you come there and I'm going to basically look at your business live in front of everyone else. And I'm going to give you value back from that. So same thing that I've taught here in $100 course. The difference here is it's a bit more hands-on, a little bit more hands-on. The difference here is that it's more face-to-face. It's more individualized. It's the same concept, same training. Fundamentals haven't changed, but it just translates to something different. Is that clear so far? Let me know. If it is, I'll go back to the book. So Mandy says the point is that success breeds success. Surround yourself with successful people. Then you'll have the courage and mindset to replicate their success as yours. Exactly. Exactly, Mandy. And Lewis and Annette. Why not focus on the highest price tier? Quincy, very, very good question. I'll come to this in a second. All right. So what I can also do, remember, I've got this 2-hour course, which is, selling for $100. I can transcribe this entire course. So I can hire someone on rev.com. And I think 2 hours for me, like in a minute, I can talk quite fast, right? So in a minute, let's say I cover 100 words. Worst case scenario, I cover 100 words in a minute. I usually cover more. Like I recently did a podcast interview with someone for 18 minutes, turned out to be 2,000 plus words. So let's assume 100 words. If I have 120 minutes, that's about 12,000 words, right? I can easily give this over to an editor and I can say, hey, let's remove all the crappy stuff, maybe let's make it more condensed, let's make it more defined and refined, and let's bring it down to something like 10,000 words, wide spacing, and we'll create a book of about, let's say, 100 pages, or even less, like 70 pages is fine. I could add more things. I could add like images of templates of different things, and that could become its own book. Now that book could be sold for $10, which is like $0 plus, shipping. Maybe this content is not good enough. So what I could do is I could take my recordings from this, which would be a little bit more story-based, a little bit more individualized, and I can take case studies from here, add them in there, extend the book from 70 to 100 pages. Maybe I can take this 10K thing and actually like add interviews as well and turn that into 100 to 125 page book. All I have done is I have leveraged all the work I have done here, which is again what Russell did as well. He leveraged everything he had done before and turned that into a book that he then sold. The same concepts that you can learn for 25, 50K, you can learn for $10. But like I said, there's a little bit of difference in delivery. Plus, the more you pay, the more successful people you can hang out with. If you paid me $2,000 for something, I'll put you in a Facebook group with people still, right? Including some one-on-one access to me. If you paid me 10 grand or more, I'll bring you somewhere face to face with other people like you who can afford to pay $10,000. And that's big because already you're hanging out with people who are paying you that much money. Now, Quincy made a very, very good point. Why not focus on just the highest tier? Quincy, some people do that. Some people absolutely do that. But let me address some problems with just focusing on the higher tier. And you will realize that these are very realistic issues. Let's say you want to sell something for $10,000. Let's say you have low credibility at the moment in the market. You don't have a lot of credibility. You're not Russell Brunson. You're not Neil Napier. You're something a little bit lower. And I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just saying how it is. You make, let's say, $5,000 a month at the moment. You don't do 6 figures. And you now suddenly want to sell a 10,000 course, $10,000 mastermind. Now you can. I'm not saying you can't. You can. But your value offering needs to be really, really big. The other problem is that you haven't really built a reputation yet. So no one's going to just hand you 10K. Maybe every 2 months you'll get one person and then it's not worth it. Right? Because you can't really have a mastermind with just one person in there or 5 people in there. You need more. You need 20, 30, 40. Because not everyone will show up to Bali when you set up a conference. So my point being that if you just focus on the higher tier, number one, the volume will be low. So your offer needs to be such that low volume is not an issue. The second thing is the cost of acquiring might be much higher. Let's say you run ads to a webinar where you are saying, hey, you know, we're setting up a mastermind. If you want in, book a call here. So people book a call and you get on a call with a lot of people, you pre-qualify them. Most of them don't qualify because you realize they can't pay 10K. Some of them qualify, and then you realize that, okay, you know, most of them are saying no because of whatever reasons. So you might spend 2 or 3K to generate that one 10K sale if you do well. Now, if you have that 2 or 3K already, perfect. If you have the money to spare to just invest in this as a venture, by all means do it. You get, you know, if you are really willing to scale it up, you might get 3 new people every month in your mastermind, and that's good. That's a respectable number. But my question then would be, what about all the people who watch your webinar? They want to buy something, they don't have 10K. They believe in you, they like you, they just want something lower. Then why don't you sell them this? So why don't you have your autoresponder campaign set up as, hey, okay, you didn't buy that 10K thing, maybe price was an issue. How about this 2K thing? You get more or less the same value, but just that this time I don't fly you out to Bali. But they're like, still too much. You say, okay, well, how about then you just buy this course that you can learn at your own pace. Once you implement it, you can grow, and then you can come back in and you can let me help you set up ads. Right? And if they're like, oh, that's too much, then you can say, okay, well, you know, read a book. Read the book. But most people, the way they use the book is they use this as a front-end loss leader option. So they will give this away basically for free. They make $0 in this case, but they make their money on the back end. And the back end is this $100, $2,000, $10,000 packages. And this works really well in service business as well, like really, really well. So if I just delete all of this, let me give you a real example of how you can use this in a service business. So I'll come back to author, by the way. I haven't forgotten about authors. So let's say if you think about a service business, you know, you've got, let's say for $1,000 a month, for 1K a month, or I'm going to put down 12K per year. For 12K per year, you manage someone's social media. So you manage a fan page, you manage someone's Twitter, and you manage someone's LinkedIn. And your job is to generate them leads, right? That's great. You charge 12K per year, which again, I think is quite fair if you are willing, if you're able to get them results. But what if a client can't pay you 12K a year? What if they're just a startup and they're like, oh, but I don't have like that much money to commit or spend? You'll say, okay, how about instead of 12K per year, you just pay me 3K per year. And what I'll do, or actually more like, let's say 5K per year in this case, and I will only handle one of these platforms for you. So I will only do, let's say, Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn. Of course, in that case, you limit your hours as well, right? You know, you don't want to put like too many hours in that case, but you'll be like, okay, I'll just do Twitter for you. But they're like, oh, but that's still too much as well. Like, we don't really want to do this, you know, with someone. So you'll say, okay, well, then how about for $497? You buy a complete like course that I've done that walks through all the strategies that I implement for all these different platforms. Right, you buy that course and you give it to your team member, you do it yourself, that's fine. That can work. But at the same time, what you can do is whatever's in that course, you can condense the same thing and you can turn that into a book. You know, the book could be called How to Be a Social Wizard in 2018 or something, whatever you want to call it. And you use that book as a lead gen. You publish that book, you get a hard copy of that book, you put it in your on your basically cupboard, you know, so whenever you're recording videos, the book is sitting at the back and people can see it that this guy's published or this girl's published. They see that you have actually written books before, and book adds to the credibility to no end. So that's something you can absolutely do as well. All right, Quincy, I hope that answered your question. Lewis says, so yeah, with the different stages, you're basically adding more personal attention at each level. Exactly, Lewis. So same thing with the service as well. If you were delivering a service, you're getting more and more personal, more and more hands-on here. You're spending more and more time. That's really all it comes down to. So a book, for many people, a book serves multiple purpose. For some people, a book is about credibility. So if you publish a book, it becomes known that, okay, you're a credible person, you published a book, you have been on Amazon, blah, 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 those sorts of things. I mean, I know, for example, some dentists, what they do as well is they publish their own books, you know, they hire a ghostwriter, and they publish the books, and they put those books in the reception area. So when people are waiting, they're looking for material to read, they can pick up one of the books and they'll be like, oh, cool, this doctor actually wrote a book. That's pretty awesome, right? So it adds to the credibility. It also adds to your leads. So again, I'll use the .com example, .com secret example from Russell. Apparently that book that he first wrote, he wrote that with the only intention of selling ClickFunnels. That was his only intention, to sell ClickFunnels through the entire book. So that was for him to generate leads. I mean, he ran a lot of paid ads to it. A lot of affiliates promoted it. Everyone made money, and ClickFunnels was born, right? ClickFunnels is driven more by affiliates promoting it than by its actual usability. I can tell you that much. But that's because Russell's been able to build his lead machines using the power of books. So a book adds to your credibility, it adds to your leads as well. And my point to you is that if you feel like, oh, but writing a book from scratch is really difficult, that's because it is. It is nearly impossible to write a book from scratch. You don't really want to do that. You don't want to get into that position where you're writing a book from scratch. It just never works. A much better way is to take a course that you have done. So maybe you've done a course where you've got a module and then, you know, a few lessons in there. And then what you do is you're like, and there's another module and more lessons, and there's another module and more lessons, and so on. So what you do is you turn that into book chapters. Chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, you know, part 1, part 2, part 3, or part 1, part 2, part 3, chapter 1, 2, 3, however you want to position that, with some introduction and some conclusion. All you have to do to make that happen is get your entire course transcribed using a site like rev.com. It is going to cost you a little bit upfront, but trust me, it really is worth it. So you get your interview transcribed with rev.com, and then after that, you get an editor to work through it. I mean, or you can do this yourself. I wouldn't do it myself. I would just give it to an editor and say, here's a few $100. Please make sure this reads like a book. If something's missing, tell me, I'll add it in. Like some introductions missing, conclusions missing, maybe there's terrible transition from one module to the other, one chapter to the other. Once I have that information, I can improve the book. The process is not complicated. The key things, again, depending on what kind of mark you want to make, if you just want credibility, publish anything that makes sense. Not just anything, but anything that makes sense, publish it. But if you want leads, you got to create something truly exceptional. So what I would recommend in that case is, let's say, create a few courses around the topic. So you do 1, 2, 3, create like multiple courses around a topic, and then combine them to create a book. Because that way you'll be able to take your best stuff and turn that into something structured. When you are doing multiple courses, though, you want to be clear on the structure, what goes where, what will the chapter be called, and so on and so forth. But if you do that, you can easily turn your course into a book. And again, I'm going to do that twice next year. Not this year, because I'm really busy, but twice next year I'm going to execute that, and we're going to make it happen. And hopefully, I want some Kyvians to follow me suit and do the same thing as well. Because trust me, when you are advertising with a book in your hand, it will do so much for your reputation, so much. That's what you want to do. A book is always a nice gift. It's a nice bonus. It's something that builds credibility for what you're doing. All right? Is that clear? Let me know. Perfect. Lewis says clear. Mandy says, I have 23 books. Obviously, I have not leveraged this very well. Mandy, you know so much. I want to see what you have, man. So PM me whenever you get a chance. But if you got 23 books, 1, maybe it's a few too many. 2, yeah, maybe you haven't leveraged it properly. If you have 23 books, you know, it depends again what kind of books you have. If it's just like filler content, it's not going to do well. It's just for credibility. If it's like a published hard copy book that you have at home. But if it's actual real content, then you should be doing more to spread the word on it. You should be doing more to get more people to notice and take action with it. Okay, and I wanted to show you some stuff inside of Kyvio as well. And I'll tell you this, that for publishing books, you need the funnel builder, right, to build a funnel around it. And eventually when Kyvio will support digital physical products as well, that'll make things really easy. So you need the funnel builder. That's the first thing. Then the second thing that you need is a membership builder. Of course, that's for the membership site content. And email marketing wouldn't hurt either if you are looking to promote your books to people that sign up to your membership site. And again, the content might be the same, but the execution will be a little bit different. The delivery might be a little bit different. When people are watching your videos, they're watching your videos. And, you know, if you then condense that material into, let's say, a book that you release 1 year later, 2 years later, it might still seem like fresh content to people. They might look at it and say, hey, yeah, this, you know, Mandy talked about this. I saw it in a course, but it's good to kind of read about it. Then I didn't take action, but I will do now. And some people will. Richard says, I wrote a book from scratch. It was hard work. Richard, exactly. Tell me, would it be easier, Richard, if you created a course first, you know, like a, let's say 2, 3, 4 hour course, whatever you wanted to do, and then get it transcribed, then try and condense it into a book? Would that be easier thing to do? I mean, editing might be a little bit of work, sure, but then you don't have to dream up new content. It's all written there in front of you. You can add stuff to it, you can remove stuff from it, you can make it fun if you want to, but I think it just makes the execution part so much more easier. So that's what I want you to do, and Richard agrees. That's what I need you to do. So with funnels, build a simple opt-in page. You know, again, once it's all ready in Kyvio, but even till then, what you can do is you can build an opt-in page where, rather I say opt-in page, you know, that's for membership side, but you can build a sales page where you sell the book. You basically ask people to pay first. When they pay, you take them to a thank you page where they have to add their address and whatnot. But if you use Stripe already, you can still collect their address and those details with Stripe, right? But the easiest thing would be they pay via PayPal or Stripe card, whatever you're using at the moment. They pay, and you take them over to a thank you page where they put in those details, right? For membership, easy. Just turn whatever you know into content, into something you can sell over and over again, and, you know, get feedback from people. Look at the notes that they're making inside of Kyvio, and make sure that you understand what they like and what they don't like. And once you figure that out, you'll be able to package it up. For emails, for those that have bought, follow up with them, try and send them to buy these courses from you. If you're running any kind of funnel where you're collecting a lead first, then send that lead to buy their book from you, and then from the book, they should buy the course. That's how you configure all of this. Richard says, this was a book on ketogenic lifestyle with lots of references. I like the course idea. Yeah, Richard, good point. So references are an important thing as well. When you are finishing up your book, it's nice to reference others, not just because you want to be truthful about it, but also when you reference others, you can tell them like, hey, you know, I talked about you in this book, read it. Or tell your people about it because I mentioned your business in there. They'd be like, yeah, for sure. You know, if you're going to mention about my business in your book, I want to read it and I want to tell others about it. So that's really important. Very crucial thing. Similarly, when all this is said and done, we ran a video series before Amazon, how to find authors on Amazon, and you can search this knowledge base as well, how to find authors on Amazon and on YouTube and convince them to create a course. So you can do the same thing here. You can find authors that are already published and teach them this method, like how to reverse what's inside the book into a course that they can sell at a higher price point. That way, the readers, or in this case, listeners, will actually be able to listen to the author instead of just read their words. I mean, it's a bit like, imagine, I'm sure all of you here have read Harry Potter. I really hope you have. It's a great series of books. But If you read the Harry Potter, imagine reading it, and on the other hand, listening to J.K. Rowling, you know, storytelling it, and then finally imagine watching the movie. And then imagine going to, I think it's Universal that has it, and doing all the Harry Potter rides. Imagine going to watch the Harry Potter plays. I think they had some of those as well in cinema. Right? So those are, I mean, you just read the book, but you got so into the universe that you bought all the things. And really, it's the same thing over and over and over again, just delivered differently. Different level of experience involved in that. That's all you're doing in this case as well. I'm sure you've seen like a lot of movies that come out, they get turned into books after, which is like, whoa, that's just surprising. I mean, I just watched a movie in the cinema and now I'm looking at a book stand and the cover is actually with the lead actors and actress. And how come? That's because the book didn't exist before the movie. The movie came and then the book came. And eventually, in some cases, in some very unique cases, either the movie gets turned into trilogy, or if you watch Mission Impossible, like 6 films, or it gets turned into a TV series. So that's all just ascension. It's the same thing delivered differently, slowly, at a slower pace, at a much more deeper pace. Everything has a story. The more you pay, the more stories you're told about how to execute stuff. Because we learn with stories, we implement with stories. If I was to give you a raw concept of like, okay, here's a book on how to build a membership site, you will read it, but you might not implement it. But if I give you a video training course, you'll get further. But if I get you involved in a 10K program, trust me, you will do it. Partly because of your financial commitment, but partly because I'm really there with you. Then you're going to take action. So that's, again, the difference in doing books and not doing books. It's the level of involvement. So I think that's the end of what I could share today with you. Do you have any questions for me that I can answer? Let me know. I'll grab a sip of water and I'll answer some questions. If not, then we'll end this one and we will release the recording tomorrow. Sandeep says cool session. Sandeep, that's good. Dominic says great. Dominic, that's perfect. All right. Cool. That's it then. Have a good rest of the day and just check out the Kyvio group tomorrow and you'll see more about it there. Okay. Thank you, Richard, Giselle, Mandy, Sandeep, Dominic, Lewis, Quincy. Good to have everyone here. Annette, you as well. All right. Take care. Bye.